You know, over the years, I think I've learned a lot. I'm a different hunter now than I think I've ever been. My goals are different. The adventures that I want to go on, my enjoyment that I get out of the hunt is much different than it used to be. Something that I want to do is go after the North America 29. One of those animals that's rare, one that's hard to pursue. The largest of the deer family is a Shiras moose.
Western Extreme, brought to you by Bowtech Archery. Refuse to follow. Can-Am. The facts say a lot, but the ride says it all. Irish Setter Boots. The hunt never ends. Shell Rotella. The engine oil that works as hard as you.
Well, it's really cold outside. We're in the minus temperatures and we're hunting Shiras. Now we come all the way up on top of this mountain. We're able to look in almost all of the directions. We haven't got a lot of snow on the ground. We look 4 or 5 miles out and we haven't even been up here 15 minutes and we already have 2 good bulls spotted and then 2 younger bulls down off the other side of the mountain here. We're gonna go ahead and glass them up, get them in the spot and scope and see if they're worthy. This hunt is really about the glass. And one of the things I'm excited about is having a pair of Swarovskis in my hand. Ultimately, we spend more time with our glasses than we do our bow and arrow or with our firearm. And it makes the hunt so much more enjoyable to be able to glass these at distance. And then I have a spotting scope that I can zoom all the way out to 60 with. Being able to evaluate these bulls at distance is really the key to it. I want to make sure that my first strike really does count. Yeah, dude, we've already found a spanker. Now all we got to do is get them to bed in the sun.
Those 2 bulls.
Now we got that thing all the way up to 60 power. That's a long ways.
At least.
That's why you're a professional.
2 or 3 miles?
You actually found that. Think what you could do if you had a pair of Swarovskis, how far you could look.
I know.
Well,
you had a pair.
Right now.
Did you not have a pair?
Yeah, I did. But I was looking out here a lot further. I was gonna let you have the close stuff and then I was gonna like look long. I was gonna look long. Every once in a while I have to let you find one, you know? But we decided that we were gonna hunt these things later in the season, after the rut's completely over, the snow is starting to fall, all of these moose are starting to congregate back again, so it's not unlikely that you wouldn't see 2 or 3 bulls together. Be able to track that moose up, walk him out in distance, and then have him out in front of you. This is an exciting way to hunt. Reminds me of some of the things that I've done tracking in Africa. All of the skills I learned over there has helped me hunt out west. Well, we're getting really close to where we saw those bulls last. And we're basically just got a skiff of snow, just enough on the ground to be able to track them out. And Kiff, my mighty guide, has tracked moose many times in snow just like this, so you can only go as fast as you are quiet. And so we're gonna go moose speed today. You know, British Columbia is one of my favorite places to hunt, and every year it brings me back. There are very few people. There are very few roads. It reminds me of Alaska because it is remote. And there are some species that live in British Columbia that you really don't have a lot of option on other places that you can hunt them. And the Shiras is one of them. They gave us a slip.
Yeah, I think they went farther than we expected. They probably bedded right past over the top of this.
I lost that track halfway through there, and then the mother cow and a calf and some other mule deer tracks. It was really hard to tell what you were looking at.
Yeah, there's so many tracks in there. We need a fresh skip of snow so we know what's new.
With the wind and the way that a moose smells, feel a little swirl in here. I think we should just head out of here, don't you?
Yeah, we'll back out and keep an eye on it every morning and try and bed them down again.
All right, dude.
Let's go.
Yeah. A moose is just one of those animals that I get excited about hunting. To be able to spot and stalk them like this can be difficult. You know, just being able to find a really good bull, but then be able to spot and stalk in the snow conditions. You can only move as fast as you are quiet. I've got a lot of challenges set in front of me this week. They're stacking in the moose's favor, but I'm gonna overcome every one of them. And with a little luck, I'm gonna be successful.
We haven't eaten any moose meat, so we have to eat cookies instead. We have to chill first.
Got a small bull right in the walking block right here. That one right there is within our effective range. We only got one problem. He's not big enough.
This is a hunt I've been waiting for a really long time. Kiff is a man who's traveled all over British Columbia, Alberta, Canada, and had done a lot of hunting himself and then been a guide and outfitter for many, many years. And this resource was one that he was excited to show me. He said out of all of the places he's ever hunted, out of all of the places he's ever went and pursued moose, this unit is the #1 place he thinks on planet Earth in order to shoot a Shiras moose. I tell you, this is the highest concentration of moose that I've ever hunted. We're seeing bull after bull after bull. But this is a Shiras. It's one of my North America 29. I want a really nice bull with my bow. Late season, in the snow, everything is compounding, and the days are starting to slip away from me. It would have been easy to shoot one with a firearm, but for me, that would have been cheating on this hunt. I really wanted to take one with my bow. I was just starting to get more aggressive, getting antsy in order to find that one moose that was in the right location that I'd be able to make that spot and stalk. When you glass a bull up and you know where he's at, one of the things that I have a real pet peeve on is letting them leave my sight, meaning that I have to move around into another position to be able to get the right wind. But anytime that animal has to leave my sight during the stalk, I get nervous. Is it going to be there when I eventually arrive? Am I going to be able to find from a different angle the topography, knowing exactly where he's at? I try to move as quickly as possible in order to get around so that I can get sight of him, because all that moose has to do, even though he weighs 1,800 pounds and has some big horns, he walks in the timber, never to be seen again.
Guys, this week we're in British Columbia and we're hunting the Shiras moose. Big body, small horns, one of the 4 species of the North America 29. We found some logging blocks. They're completely closed to road access that we're walking in, very stealthy, and looking in these old burns and old logging cut blocks, and we're starting to see some real moose tracks. Definitely there should be some good bulls around.
You know, a moose is an animal that I love to pursue, and Kiff just has an amazing resource out here in British Columbia. Huge concentration of moose, all congregated in about a 50-60 mile radius, and a lot of those bulls that were up in the high country come down in the lowlands during that snow, and this late season is perfect to be able to target them.
Man, Kiff, there's a lot of country up here. Eventually those moose have to, you know, feed out of the timber into logging blocks, you know? Yeah. You think with the temperature change and everything that they eventually would be just sunning themselves out here.
Yeah, we just got to keep doing the same thing. I mean, we're seeing a bull or two every day, every morning, and we just got to get them to bed in the right spot. And He will eventually. Patience, persistence, and keep going.
Yeah, for sure.
I've only got a couple of days left, and it's time to find that big bull moose.
Well, Western Extreme gets to travel all over the world, and we've been on some unbelievable destinations, and usually the outfitters ask me to write a little testimonial that they put on the website. So instead of doing that, we're building a little video, and yes, with my friend Kiff Culver from Culver Outfitting. Now, many of you have been watching Western Extreme for years and years and years, and know I've been up here for the last 7 years. Now, Kiff and I have shot the Slam together. I mean, we have done grizzly bears, we have done elk, and we've done whitetails, mule deer, black bears, and then the mountain goat. One of the most epic ones that we've ever done. Climbed to the top of the mountain and got it done. We've had a lot of fun. There's a lot of species here that are unlike any other place that you can pretty much hunt all over North America. And Kiff Culver is one of the hardcore, really honest, trustworthy guys. And yes, I'm brown nosing him right now, but you got to realize that it's good stuff because I've been back for the last 7 years in a row.
That bull this morning must have been too small. Like, what's the problem here?
Yeah, I need something bigger.
Oh, okay.
Way bigger. You know, big moose, like 60 inches.
We finally locate this bull. The only problem is we're over a mile away. We've got to be able to move and figure out exactly which way to approach him with the wind direction, and we have to move extremely quiet. Now, moose is a very large animal. It needs a lot of food in order to sustain itself. There's no doubt about it. When you're in good moose country, you'll know it by looking at the vegetation around you. One of the things I really noticed when I got into the moose, I could smell them, number one, and number two, I could see all of the saplings were actually eaten off the top of them. It gave me a really good indication of whether those moose are in the area. And then with a little snow on the ground, that really did help.
Sometimes it's really hard to get your bearings from another perspective. This flat rock up here is where we saw 3 mule deer, and then on the other side of that is where our bull is bedded. We're not sure if he's gonna get up or not, but we're gonna try it.
In a lot of ways, this moose hunting really does remind me of what I do during the September months, which is chase elk. When you get on a bull, you know where he's at. One of the things that I have a real pet peeve on is letting them leave my sight, meaning that I have to move around into another position to be able to get the right wind. But anytime that animal has to leave my sight during the stalk, I get nervous. He looped around and we got into position, and I could see that bull in the brush. We had got right down on him. The mule deer had got that moose up, and our moose opportunity was completely gone. He was a really nice bull, one that I would have liked to have pursued.
Well guys, we came in here, we had a mule deer get this moose out of his bed, and then he came up the hill, and the last time we saw him was right down here in these trees, and Chachi and I snuck in this little outcropping to be able to see in here, and our mighty guide that's not supposed to spook game, he decided to skyline himself on top of the rock, have the moose see him, and then he left us. So we are mooseless right now. I don't think he spooks any other client's game. I think he just spooks my game when we're hunting together.
Well guys, this morning we started all the way up on top of that hill, and here's a helpful hint for you guys that are bow hunting. After we spotted this bull, we took a picture with the iPhone through the spotting scope of exactly where that bull was bedded. When we looped all the way around back around the hill, we used a landmark by looking at the picture to re-reference ourselves exactly where it was bedded, and it worked perfectly. It's a good thing that that bull was like half the size I wanted to shoot. Otherwise, you know, I wouldn't let you eat lunch.
We're in British Columbia with Culvert Outfitting with my good friend Kiff, and we're hunting Shiras moose, one of my North America 29.
Only 60-yard shot. A couple inches low, but that's pretty much all I can hold in this cold weather today, for sure.
Jimmy, you never wear gloves when you shoot. Why is that, even in the cold?
I'm using a thin glove, trying it on the riser, and then I never shoot one on my release. It'll change my anchor point, where it positions on my face and everything. So, and if you take the bow, you know, the riser right here, and if you realize how many guys start like this when they start the draw cycle, and then they go ahead and draw the bow, notice the end of my thumb right here. I can't go from this position to that position without rotating my hand on the riser. You know, one of the things I always do is I always bring my bow all the way down. I extend my arm and put it straight so that I know that I'm applying pressure. Then when I start the release cycle, you know, put the release on the string, when I lift, I've already extended my arm and I know that it's in the right spot, which is really important.
Right.
You know, it's difficult to bow hunt in these temperatures like this, but when you finally have walked and you've got to the spot and you're ready to make the shot, you know, you're better off torturing yourself a little bit than missing or wounding an animal, you know.
Yeah, sure.
You got to be moving more on your game the colder it is.
We're actually looking at a really nice bull at about 850 yards. Now this isn't the Alaska Yukon moose, this is a Shiras moose. This is a really good respectable one for here in BC. We've looked over a lot of bulls over the last few days, and this is the one, definitely one that we want to chase. And it's really, really noisy with no wind right now, so I don't know exactly how we're going to get to him, but we're going to figure out a plan.
Game on. We've got a moose spotted. All we've got to be able to do is go through 2 timber blocks, come out into the opening, and try to be quiet enough in order for us to be able to spot this moose.
We've looped all the way around, and we got 2 cows to the right hand side, and then we have that big bull bedded. Near as I can tell, he has his head facing downhill. We're going to try to make a sneak. We've got to move him down the hill about 80 yards, but it's extremely noisy. We have no wind to cover our fin, but it's time to go.
We finally looped around the hill and we've got the bull bedded. We can only see parts of it, so I start to make the stalk. I'm getting closer and closer and closer. And then all of a sudden I can hear him. He stands up and he puts his head right in some green trees. The good news is his head and his eyes are blocked by the branches that are covering his head. I finally get into position. He doesn't even know I'm there. He's still standing in that green tree, but his vitals are exposed. His head is facing to the right. All I've got to be able to do is grab the rangefinder, draw the bow, and aim. There's something magical about using your own force to draw the bow. Micro aim. And then the moment of truth comes. I could hear that famous watermelon thump of that arrow hitting its mark, and down he went.
Kiff,
Congratulations.
did it.
Right behind the shoulder. That's awesome.
You know what? It was so cool. We had just enough wind to muffle us, you know, and
How many yards was that?
It was 64. Yeah. It was a 64-yard shot. But you know what was funny is that he was tucked in that tree, you know? Yeah. So when he stood up, he just turned around and then he faced his head to the right there. I really paid attention to his legs, came up in the top of the lower third, held the mark, and I just watched the arrow sail to its mark, man.
Perfect.
This is really, really exciting. Come back over here on this side and you can really see how beautiful this animal is. Man, what a spectacular moose, huh? Talk about pocket shooting him. That's awesome. Well, it's been almost 4 years since the Burnworth family had some moose meat on the table, and here we are with a majestic, huge, gargantuan, one of the the largest animals in all of North America to be able to hunt with a bow and arrow, and we got it done on a Shiras. One of my North America 29. Now this is always about the same size body, but not as big a horns as the Alaska Yukon and the Canadian that are also here, not far from here, that Kiff hunts also. Kiff, I want to thank you so much, man. We had a lot of fun.
Thanks, Jimmy. Congratulations. Yeah, it's a good mature bull.
A big.
How many did we spook this week?
A lot. we spooked a lot. We're able to glass up good bulls every single day. Kiff Culver, my really good friend from British Columbia that I've been hunting with for the last 7 years. Culver Outfitting, check it out. And I want to thank you for joining us here on Western Extreme. We'll see you again next week right here chasing something wild out west, or in this case, like in Canada.
Western Extreme, brought to you by Bowtech Archery. Refuse to follow. Can-Am. The facts say a lot, but the ride says it all. Irish Setter Boots. The hunt never ends. Shell Rotella. The engine oil that works as hard as you.
We're driving down the road here in British Columbia. Up on the hill, looked like a buck and a doe. Further investigation, because obviously deer season's over right now. They're completely mechanical fake deer. Off in the bushes somewhere, there's a fish and game officer trying to catch poachers here in British Columbia, so kind of cool.